costs. But overall, we are doing well. We are enjoying some sanity in the tertiary education space. Thank you, Chair.
Minister, maybe it's also because of the fact that when they exit, you would expect to see some dip in the compensation package. But many a time, you don't see that reflecting there. So that is why sometimes they tend to struggle to give clearance for them to replace. So I think they should also look at all those things and see how best the attrition reflects in their compensation amount as well, so that then when you go in you ask for clearance to replace, to bring it to par, then the minister will be comfortable to do that. But I think you should work together on this and see how best you can replace, if not all, at least a number that will make the investees fit for purpose in terms of their human resource.
But Chair, whilst I agree with you, the response from the Honorable, from the Ministry of Finance must be timely in order to save the institutions when they do make the request to replace faculty. If, for instance, you have the School of Medical Sciences wanting a particular specialist to teach a particular course, following the retirement of that person having assumed the mandatory public retirement age, if it takes a year that the Ministry of Finance does not respond, the university will be found wanting, and then students suffer. And I think that we can manage it better. The better explanation I got from the Ministry of Finance was that when they exit, you have a watchman exiting. That's not comparable to a librarian living, and that's not comparable to a lecturer living. So replacements must reflect the standing of the person, but it must be done and done timeously. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, Minister, my question goes to the GTech boss. He's been in the news for many reasons about titles, how people earn their titles. Some said you are being selective. Some said you are doing witch hunting. Can you use this platform to explain to us what is happening?
Chairman, this matter is being thoroughly looked at. The Director-General of GTech is acting in accordance with his mandate and the law, and recognizes that whoever is affected by it will be pronounced as he is doing. A number of it will refer to council, and they are looking at it. I'm awaiting a report from the GTech Council for a briefing. Then I'll come back to this house if you so desire. Thank you.
All right, we have a management issue over here. Overdue receivables of 1.3 million Ghana cedis. What has happened to this? And it started from 2017 all the way to 2023.
Chairman, management has put in measures to improve the Commission's operations, including revenue mobilizations. Institutions were served demand notice, and in addition, a debtors task force was considered to help in the recovery of debts. Accordingly, some 999,276 of the outstanding has so far been recovered. We confirm from our review of receipt books and corresponding bank statements that management has recovered an amount, as I've stated, of 999,206 out of the total amount of 1.3 million, leaving an outstanding of 308,194. These recoveries are supported by appropriate evidence. And the outstanding shall be fully recovered. And going forward, Chairman, definitive timelines will be given for the payment of all fees to forestall future occurrences of institutional debt. Chairman, along the line, I probably may even have to come back to Parliament on GTech. They issued this deadline that institutions were not in compliance, particularly those providing private tertiary education. If you don't have a charter, then you may have to fold up. Government is reviewing that position, and there may be a policy review of it to extend the moratorium, but certainly not to perpetuity. But we would give them some space of time. Chairman, noting that not every qualified Ghanaian student has the opportunity to be admitted into a public tertiary institution, they will be in denial if we were to be high-handed in terms of the regulation. But that's what the law requires him to do. So I may seek a review of the law in order that we extend the period of the charter and then learn from best practice. What happens in Australia, what happens in the US or UK? How are those private institutions able to cope with the public tertiary institutions? But Chairman, the joy is that in Ghana, more Ghanaian students of that age are accessing higher education, and that's good for our country. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, to a lay person like me, what is the essence of the charter, and why is it necessary for all private universities to have it?
Chair, it was to ensure that they meet the minimum regulatory standards in the provision of quality tertiary education. One, infrastructure. Do they have enough good classrooms, lecture rooms, laboratories, and others? Two, faculty. What's the strength of their faculty? If the requirement is to be a PhD or a professor or an associate professor, do they have the minimum number of persons in that particular area? And then also there is accreditation of courses. The GTech also issues accreditation of courses, whether the institution is readily prepared to undertake that particular course of training. If you say, for instance, you are providing higher education in biology and you don't have a laboratory or chemistry or physics, then GTech is not likely to support you to undertake that activity. So in the law which was passed by Parliament, some time period was allowed that if you were not able to charter, you may fold up. And Chairperson, if we did that, apart from the students who will be affected, Ghanaians in the private sector who are investing in private tertiary education, that would be a disincentive to them. And they've done well. I mean, if you look at whether the church-related institutions, whether it's the Catholic Church or is the Pentecost Church or the Presbyterian Church, which is providing higher education, they've done pretty well in partnering government in providing that. So we will review the legislation, but not to perpetuity. It won't be forever and ever. Then you keep saying that, give me more time. It cannot be. But at least let's give them some time, because the challenge is how many students are they able to admit? And they are fee paying. How many parents? It's the same Ghanaian parents who are paying because the ward or child could not get a public tertiary education. So standards will not be compromised, but I think that we should allow them time and space to justify their expenditure and the training they are providing. Thank you.
Auditors, could you confirm the amount collected by GTech?
Honorable Chair, a total of 999,276 CDs has so far been recovered, leaving a balance of 308,194. Thank you.
All right. Now we go to Ghana Library Authority. Honorable Opoku Ansa will take care of the financials.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. Minister, I'm looking at your financial performance and deficit. The report shows that the year ended 2023 with a deficit of some 5.76 million. And if you look at your financials, this is worse than the previous year. Are you able to tell the committee specific factors that led to this worsening deficit despite a 66.8% increase in your total income?
Honorable Puku, just refer me to the paragraph. What I do know is those that are related to overdue withholding tax not remitted to the GRA as the main concern in the management report?
No, we are looking at your financials, and this is in paragraph 647.
Paragraph 647,
Yes,
all right,
please.
thank you. Just 1 minute to refer to it. Yes, Sin, thank you. With a deficit of 5.7 as compared with a deficit of 4.2, representing a duration of 36.5% in its financial performance. The details of the authority performance in there for the year are presented in table 9.1. So, income. In the past, it was attributable to increase in grants. I'm not able to say same for the same period.
Yes, I mean, so you see that your grants has increased significantly, and well, we've just
Yeah,
wondering how this.
to 32 million from 19 million.
And how was this extra funds utilized? And I mean, we are wondering why your expenditure still outpaces your income.
Chair, there is demand for libraries across the country, and I engage in the provision of some library facilities in different parts of the country. That explains the increased expenditure of the Ghana Library Authority. And Chair, they can do more. I intend again coming to Parliament. We should borrow from the American experience of having presidential libraries across the country in honor of those who have democratically served our country. You can have a dedicated library that does it. And Chair, the reading culture in Ghana needs to improve. I mean, if you travel abroad in the morning, everybody is holding a newspaper or a magazine. And then you come to Ghana, it is only when you have to comment on the report that you look around to see the report and catch your breath on the report. So we generally have to look at the reading culture of Ghana. Chair, I was in the Brown-Hafo region, and I'm particularly encouraged by the enthusiasm and support of chiefs. The Omahini of Sunyani invited me home and said, look, what does it take for government to complete the Sunyani Regional Library? I've gotten a similar request from the chiefs and people of Koforidua. What does it take? Then, Chair, you go to many of the schools, they do not have adequate and supportive libraries. We need to invest more in libraries. I'm seeking to come to Parliament to revise the Ghana Library Authority legislation and to make a strong case for them to have, at least every school must have a minimum of a library in good standing. Not when, and probably if we have the resources, we should even be thinking about digital library for the student, whether secondary school or at whatever level. So, Chairman, what accounts for the increase in expenditure is driven largely by the need. And across the country, I was in the Upper East region. I was told that, for instance, even Regional Directorate of Education, no office to house them, Metro Director of Education, no office to house them, no library. Our children shouldn't just be in school. They must be in school to learn. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. And thank you for the efforts to increase libraries across the country. Let me now take you to your non-current assets. We also saw an increase, or we've seen an increase of about 94.9 million, and that's over 500%. And the reasons given for this is that there was some revaluation and acquisition that was done. Are you able to tell these committees a bit of details? We want to find out why your non-current assets would increase by over 500%. What specifically did Ghana Library Authority do to
Chair, once they build, then that will add to the reevaluation of their assets, and that will get the figure jump up. Thank you. In fact, Chair, one of the concepts I inherited is the Ghana Library Authority seeking to do public-private partnership. They have a lot of good land across the country, and whether a private sector person can partner them to build a library and use a portion of their land. But that's still a matter we are discussing to see whether it's feasible and whether it guarantees value for money, particularly with the use of state and government lands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. That'll be all for me.
All right, thank you. Now let's go to management issue. And Honorable Enim will
Thank you, Chair.
handle that.
Minister, this infraction has to do with overdue withholding taxes to the tune of 1,023,860 Ghana cedis. And from the auditor's review, most of these withholding taxes were withheld from 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. And it's quite worrying that we would withhold up to about 1 million and we will not remit to Ghana revenue. Minister, before I come to the substantive question, you look at the institutions that have been withheld, and quite a number of them are very, very significant. For EPP Books, Tanit Limited, they were withheld to the tune of 156,000 Ghana cedis. This was in 2022. EPP 2020, and the amounts involved are quite significant. And I'm asking myself, what are these institutions doing? How have they been filing their returns? Because if you have withholding taxes withheld to this tune and you are not chasing for your certificates and for your credits, how are we managing this, Minister?
Chairman, thank you very much. We have recommended to management to ensure that the 123,860 is recovered. Indeed, management reached out to the Ghana Revenue Authority, and accordingly, some 182,183 cedis have been sent down to the Ghana Revenue Authority. 7th November 2024, 45,114. 13th August 2025, 52,000. Then 14th October 2025, 55,000. Management will continue to engage with the GRA to settle the outstanding withholding tax. But I essentially agree with you that that's not an acceptable and a good practice. We recognize that at the Public Accounts Committee, in your scrutiny of public expenditure, you are also interested in whether we are reporting consistent with the financial reporting requirements. So accordingly, for this year 2025, 11th August, some 18,000 was paid. 15th September, 6,000. 14th September, it's been dealt with. So we have been proactive in ensuring that we don't allow for accumulation of outstanding withholding taxes. We ensure strict compliance to the directive of the Auditor-General. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Auditors, can you confirm how much of this 1 million has been remitted so far, the total?
Honorable Chair, we can confirm that a total of 182,188.83 has been recovered. Thank you.
Minister, it looks like from the total the auditors confirm, we still have a significant amount to remit. We are looking at 1 million and auditors confirming 182,000. So we have so far almost about 800 and something thousand yet more to remit. So, Minister, if Ghana Library Authority can take steps to immediately remit this amount to GRA so that these institutions that have been withheld
Executive
will be
Director, I
able
hope you are
to
listening
receive
to
the tax
Karen.
credits for all these years. Because one thing that I think we have been considering for the past few weeks, a number of these infractions keep happening. And I ask myself, what are these institutions doing? Because if these institutions will put some bit of action into it and follow up with these institutions, I believe that it will push them to be able to remit these amounts to the GRA. Thank you.
Executive Director, Ghana Library Authority, you are to ensure respect and compliance. I'll follow through with him and his team. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The next one will go to is National Service Authority, National Service Scheme. And Honorable Abnao Asare will handle that one, please.
Honorable Minister, should I go on?
Chair, you may want to go on, but I would choose to set the record. I'm not responsible and I do not exercise oversight over the national service.
So that is why I asked you
Under
first,
President
yes.
Mohammed's reset is more of a youth-related activity and accordingly have been placed under the oversight of the Honorable Minister for Youth and not the Ministry of Education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We will let the appropriate ministry come and answer to this infraction. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The next one we'll go to is Student Loan Trust. Honorable Enim will take care of that one.
Okay,
it's on
thank you,
paragraph
Chair.
666.
So, Minister, we'll be considering the financial performance and financial position of Student Loan Trust. With the financial performance, you can see that the bottom line, we are still not doing well. For 2022, we had a deficit of over 5,204,000. Then 2023, we are still reporting a deficit of 5,116,000. Although there was some small improvement, but then it's still very bad situation because we cannot continue to put surpluses. And I know the activities of the Student Loan Trust is not for profit making or anything, but then we should be also be prudent with how we spend within these institutions. I would want to look at the first item, compensation of for employees. It went up by about 33%. I just want to understand whether this was due to the increase or improvement in staff strength, or this was as a result of some increases in bonuses and compensation to employees.
Chairman, thank you very much. It will be a combination of it, new recruitments, promotion, and payment of bonuses. And Chairman, the Ghana Student Loan Trust is now being repositioned by the President to undertake 3 major core social interventions of the Mahama administration. One, the payment of bursaries, or call it a no-fee stress, which, Chair, has made significant impact on the life of those students who otherwise, for being financially disadvantaged, may not have been able to pay their fees. Then 2, the Ghana Student Loan Trust now is also responsible for the disbursement of the no fees for persons with disability, a new rights-based approach to supporting persons with disability. Chairman, I'm before Parliament, as you recall, and seeking a review of the Ghana Scholarship Authority. It is my view that in future, these two institutions can relate, the Ghana Student Loan Trust Fund and the Scholarship Authority. My view, even though I campaigned unsuccessfully, was that we should earmark 2.5% of oil revenue for human capital development and human resource development, so that into the future we could have what pertains in Sri Lanka, a Ghana bursaries and scholarship authority, so that one arm of it will be responsible for bursaries to pay it to a no fee stress category of persons. And then, Honorable Abuna, you guide us with your experience at the Ministry of Finance. So now you say no fee stress, most impactful initiative of President Mahama. Now, if in September, October, November, the Ministry of Finance is not able to release the money for student loan trust, it defeats the purpose of the intervention. You're asking the student to go and borrow. It's the same student who is in need, who doesn't have the support, who is in dire, urgent need of it. So earlier releases can be useful and supportive. But as I said, my view was that because Ghana have never had a scholarship authority bill, I wanted to work 1 year, see what scholarship will do, deal with this nepotism and chronism associated with allocation of scholarship, provide for some discipline. But believe me, my most impactful lunch as minister was when the no fee stress was launched. I had good sleep that this was an impactful, meaningful social intervention of the president. And many of you sitting here, colleague MPs, you know how much you spend in paying school fees when the period comes. You get demands. So, but just to send a caution, Chairman, the Director-General of GTech is here. I've seen some schools increasing their fees because government says it's absorbing them. We won't accept it. So make sure you issue consequential instructions to your schools not to take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. We are still on the financial performance. I want to understand one or two things here. From your revenue from exchange transactions, I see here interest income, which went up by about 48%. I just want to understand what form of or what kind of investments is SLTF involved in? What kind of investment that would be able to give you this amount, this increase of about 48%? What kind of investment are they into?
I'm sure normally they get releases from the Ghana Education Trust Fund, and then they deposit it in banks whilst processing payment. Arising out of it, some interest accrue, and that is accountable for what you've just mentioned. And Vice Chairman, I'm happy to announce that we've now, Ghana Student Loan Trust have roped in students at the law school can now go in for the Student Loan Plus. Okay. Hitherto, this was not done. The President announced it when he launched the opportunity and facility for persons with disability. And then, Chairman, so here is where you accountants, you can help government. We are thinking of reviewing the interest rate regime of the student loan trust. Now, a student gets a loan, that student gets out of school, he has no job, and you are compounding interest for the student. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mathematically, what's the fairness in that? So we may have to go back to the simple interest regime, but also not jeopardizing the income security of those from whom the money emanates from. But I don't think that is fair that we compound interest when they don't have jobs. But the student loan trust, I believe, is doing well. I've requested GetFund to increase their budgetary allocation so that those, in addition to their need, if the government is paying off your no fee stress, and you think that you need an additional 5,000 or 10,000 to support your need, you can go back to the student loan trust, enter an arrangement with them, and you'll be supported. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I think that I asked this question because I saw the drop in your current ratio, which in financial sense, it makes a lot of sense because we are utilizing the cash resources that we do have, and that is what resulted in the increase in the interest income. And that is something that will encourage that all these institutions will learn from and be able to adopt these good cash management practices. Thank you, Chair.
Chairman, the member is forcing me to behave like the chairperson, Abuna. What is current ratio? Me, I know debit the receiver, credit the giver. Yeah, taking me to the world of current ratio. The accountants here, we want to respond to that. All I remember is debit the receiver, credit the giver. I don't remember.
Honorable Minister, I would like to ask you a question on unreturned pickup vehicles loan to national security. The auditors are saying that we cited a letter with reference number SCR/DC 28/554/01D, dated April 7th, 2020, from the Office of the President, requesting for the release of the vehicles to national security, which stated that the vehicles will be returned upon completion. We noted during our review of assets management that 100 brand new Isuzu pickup vehicles procured by the ministry in 2020 to be distributed to various SHS and other education institutions to facilitate teaching, learning, and other administrative activities were released to Lieutenant Colonel Faustina Dennison with National Security on 28th of March 2020 and 29th of March 2020 to assist in the fight of COVID-19 pandemic. These vehicles have not been returned to the ministry after the pandemic ended. We also noted that no change of ownership was effected from the supplier's name, Mac Autos and Spare Parts Ghana Limited, into the ministry's name before the vehicles were released to the national security. And it gives a long list over here. We recommended that the Chief Director should, as a matter of urgency, recover all the vehicles, and any vehicle not in good condition should be replaced by the national security, failing which the Chief Director should be held liable. Minister, what has happened to these vehicles?
Chairman, the Chief Director is here. It's your whole but Chair, to assure you that it's important that we put your question in context. As you are yourself rightly observe, COVID, the country had to go through some national emergency in containing COVID. And probably at the time, national security required those vehicles. You know, government procurement. You couldn't have been waiting that go through procurement of 1 to 3 months to get vehicles to release to national security. They needed to be around the country to support health emergency staff in fixing and supporting the delivery of health services to those who required it. Chairman, I'm liaising with the Office of the Chief of Staff and the Office of National Security Coordinator for the retrieval of those vehicles. Chair, I'll share with you a letter edited and signed by me, which I forwarded to the National Security Coordinator to account for those vehicles, and I'll do follow up on them. I thank you.
Okay, so let me go back to the GetFund issue, the financials of GetFund. Looking at the financials, GetFund, if you look at the revenue from exchange transactions, 2022, Minister, will you be the one answering the questions of GetFund?
Chairman, I'll attempt. If you are not satisfied, then the GetFund administrator himself will come in. But I'll attempt an answer.
Honorable Minister, then maybe we need to reschedule them.
Chairman will be happy if you reschedule us to deal with the GetFund.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Akwesi Akonedo has a question to ask.
Chairman, thank you very much. There's a very quick one. Minister, the Public Accounts Committee is one of the committees that is of very importance and relevance in our financial management arrangements in this country. Because once Parliament allocates monies to ministries, agents, and departments, it's important that accountability, fairness, prudence, and transparency in its management is required. With your rich experience, I mean, I met you as the majority-minority leader, and with you being in this house for a very long time, in just about, say, 3 sentences, how do you find this committee, and how do you think that in this 9th Parliament and going forward, we can augment the work that we do so that at least the nation's finances and the people who are entrusted with the care of these monies will be prudent, fair, and adequate in the management of these resources?
Thank you very much, Honorable Akwesi Kwenedo. And, you know, if there is a medical person in this committee or in this room, growing up, I'm reminded that a flawless diagnosis at autopsy is impossible. So when the Public Accounts Committee, you are doing very well, and you've saved the country billions. Even the mere, for those of us with sociology background, the mere fact that he is to appear before public accounts operates as a social control measure. Will I survive? Can I survive? Will I make it? Restraining. It will redefine public officers' posture. And you are holding us accountable as required by the Constitution. I believe Article 187 mandates you. But, Chairman, the Parliament of Ghana and the executive and the judiciary have not been fair to the taxpayer. We ought to remember at all times that sovereignty resides in the people. And when you are spending public resources, we all must be reminded that there will be dire consequences when you betray the public trust. Now refer to Article 1876 of the Constitution. It says that Parliament shall, after debating the report, where necessary, recommend a committee in the public interest. So if from 1993 to yesterday, Parliament has not been responsive, that is an injustice to the Ghanaian people, in my view. But it doesn't take the Auditor-General. He has done his work. It counts to you at public account. But again, Chairman, Ghana, we operate with law. There is a worrying Supreme Court ruling on the matter. So, for instance, if anybody appears before your committee, and then, forgive me, somebody wants to do a prosecution based on Public Accounts Committee, the Supreme Court ruling, I don't have the title, may operate as a limitation, because are you exhaustive? After your committee, nothing happened, no committee. The Supreme Court and the courts of Ghana will be guided. So my advice to your committee is not just your committee, but Parliament. I know President Mahama recently announced that he was going to engage with the Auditor-General, the Chief Justice. I think he should extend it to include the Speaker of Parliament, so that the trial will have a discussion how to move beyond public account findings. And it is only Parliament. It didn't say the executive. It didn't say the judiciary. It says Parliament. There are many things, 1993, the Constitution guaranteed that, including spousal rights. We've gone to sleep on it. Since 93, you don't have legislation governing that. So my advice is that, in fact, in Australia, the Auditor-General sits in Parliament. That's how important they view the work you are doing in some Parliament. In fact, the best ally of Parliament is the Auditor-General. But in Ghana, you are interested in what I said, post-mortem findings. When the harm has been done, then Abena, the able chair, will question and query us with members of the committee. But I think that in terms of guaranteeing and ensuring accountability, from the days of Skandapa, Salas Mensa to Abena Asari, you are doing a good job in holding public officials accountable to respect the Public Financial Management Act. and other enabling legislation. But we can do better if the three co-equal organs of state will be minded that they need to protect the public purse and guarantee value for money. I think that would be useful. Thank you.
Yeah. Minister, thank you very much. But we always seem to forget that audit is done at the end of the year. So it is not when, I don't think in their position they would want to do it after the harm has been done. But their mandate says that they will have to audit at the end of the year. So that if we have our internal controls in the various ministries, departments, and agencies working efficiently, beyond what they also do, we can help to bring the many infractions that they are cited at the end of the year down if we enforce the sanctions as we meted out to any public officer, whether a political figure or a public servant. If we are able to enforce those sanctions, I don't think that the infractions will be so much that at the end of the year, when their mandate is to look at things at the end of the year and they come, we will see the number of things, the number of infractions we are seeing. So beyond what we do, we should also make sure the systems and the processes that have been set in the law for proper use of public resources, we should ensure that they work. And once they work, I believe that with your suggestion that Parliament, the judiciary, legislature, and the executive should work together in conjunction with the Auditor-General, we will go a long way to see that many of these infractions are reduced to its barest minimum. So it is us, and it is also enforcing the laws as it's supposed to be.
Chair and Honorable Abner, I know where you stand when it comes to PFM, public financial management, with the like of Tekpe and Ivame. So I'm not saying that there shouldn't be efficiency. Internal controls need to be strengthened. But what I'm saying is that don't wait until the body is in the mortuary and you say you want to find out why it is in the... But I'm guided. So we leave it to you to do your post public expenditure scrutiny. That is your mandate. But I agree with you that we should strengthen internal controls and emphasize more on preventing many of these infractions. By your committee in the last decade and two have saved the state billions of Ghana cedis, and you can do better. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for your insightful comment about it. But two things, so that at least Chairman can discharge you for others to come. First and foremost, it's good that you bring our attention to Article 1866. I mean, 1876, reactivating that to make sure that another committee within it comes to do a follow-up on those ones is very important. But secondly, I mean, you made a point about post-mortem. However, I don't know how it may sound in the minds of public officials listening, but they must bear in mind, post-mortem is important, and every single infraction that the Auditor-General raises, every single infraction ends up becoming criminal infractions, and criminality has no limitation. So regardless of it being post-mortem, that is what the statute says. It must be done at the end of the financial year, so that the infractions that you commit will then be brought here to be expatiated on. And remember that it has no time limit. That is why at times we can even sit to consider 2021 reports. So regardless of it being post-mortem, we still have the mandate to pursue anybody who causes financial burden to the state unwarranted. Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you, Chairman. I can only say I concur with the Honourable Member. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, thank you so much appearing before the committee to answer these questions. You and your ministry, you are discharged. Now let's call Ministry of Communications and Digitalization.